Alright, I am back with another Destiny video because we are in between a kind of weird time with this week's reset and the launch of the secret Hawkmoon quest with tomorrow, which should bring us, I believe, a PvP TWAB, so there'll be even more stuff to talk about there. I'm on DCP and I think Fireteam chat this week, so I'll have plenty of time to talk about that stuff. But for now, since I've been kind of following this Hawkmoon quest saga from the very beginning, I wanted to give my thoughts on it being concluded now. Overall, I'd say I'm pretty satisfied with what happened. I'm in my thumbnail here. I'm calling the 0 hour 1.5 because technically, yeah, it was a secret quest. It did reuse parts of the original Hawkmoon quest, and yet it was quite a bit more advanced than the original, and it wasn't just the first one with modifiers, which is kind of what everyone was assuming that it was. That said, it wasn't like an entirely new area that we've never been to that was designed specifically for a secret quest like 0 Hour and Whisper. There is a new part kind of within the dam, but besides that, it's kind of retreading old areas from two different old quests, because you go through the dam part from Crow's Nest, and then you go kind of through the whole Hawkmoon quest again in addition to the first part, which is interesting. But for my taste, it still counts. I've been thinking of is this the most involved we have ever been with one single kind of exotic quest where we have the whole story of the season essentially getting to know Crow, and then the Hawkmoon is clearly the Crow centric weapon, and the different quests that end up leading us to the gun are pretty elaborate in and of themselves. And then we have this separate special secret quest that is just for the catalysts and then farming random rolls of the weapon, which is a first for an exotic. We don't normally ever see that. And so this run gave you both the catalyst and 2 rolls per character, I think. So you can farm 6 a week. Overall, I really liked it. I'm kind of interested in why they teased it a little bit last week, where we got a look at the ship and then we could go inside the fireplace and it just dead ended instead of just dropping it all this week. I don't mind it because I did spend kind of all week speculating about that, and it was fun to kind of guess what's going to happen. But it was just a little strange because they don't really usually do that with secret quests for the most part. I was very excited to jump in there and immediately see this start mission button inside the fireplace. But then you run into your first bug, which you're supposed to go and pick up the quests from Crow first before you try and actually run that mission. The most kind of weird part was the very beginning when you kill the initial hobgoblin, and everyone is what the hell are you supposed to do now? Because there's seemingly nowhere to go, and you're just kind of, the door is closed to the tunnel that you would normally go in, and you can't go back to Trostland. So everyone's just the first 20 minutes of the mission was everyone figuring out what the hell is going on. And the answer is really non-intuitive. You have to jump down to this very little tiny extended branch and then jump over to the outside of the dam and then work your way up. That was kind of the most 0 hour-ish thing, I think, of this whole thing, was this little very strange jumping puzzle. Because if you told me I could jump all the way to the exterior of the dam from where I was at the beginning of that quest, I would not have believed you, because that just doesn't look like it's something you could do based on how Destiny Out of Bounds mechanics works. I did like this quest not being timed. There is some sort of achievement where if you get it after beating the thing after 15 minutes, but I definitely took way longer than that, and I still got it. I've heard it's just 15 minutes for the boss fight, the final boss fight, so that might be why everyone's getting that. I'm not sure if that's a bug or not. Before that, however, you are supposed to hunt down 3 emissaries and kill them. This is all taken stuff, kind of like Whisper. And this is hard. It's a 1270 mission. So even, I'm 1275, 1280 on all my characters. And it's still hard because it's like Nightfall rules, where enemies are just stronger no matter what the power level, and everything has elemental shields. My MVP of this mission was Gnawing Hunger, because there's a lot of void shielded wizards and acolytes, so that was able to cut through them. I could not solo this. I'm running a clip of me just doing a solo run of my hunter which you'll notice does not complete by the end, partially because it probably would have been too long for this video, partially because I don't think I could have finished that the end segment of this anyway with the arena battle of Taken and all the unstoppables and stuff. I ended up two-manning it with my buddy on my Warlock for my first completion, and it was challenging. It was a lot easier once you have kind of spare lives and like your buddy can revive you, or you can just wait 30 seconds to come up. But like before that, any spare sniper shot or anything like that would just destroy you for the most part. Xenophage is also good here, I think, and everyone's kind of using Hawkmoon just because it's like the theme of the thing. I don't know if Hawkmoon's actually good here, but people were using it because you take it in to get in the fireplace in the first place, and then you can put Unstoppable on it for there's a couple Unstoppable enemies, even though Unstoppable only decides like it wants to trigger, I don't know, one out of every 5 times you shoot it, so not great. So you hunt down all these acolytes. This is the new area in the dam where you're kind of all over the place, and you half kill a boss, and then it turns into a little mini like hunt thing where you have to go find where they teleported to, which is in like a blight covered doorway. You kill them, you make your way back to the main room. There's another one. That's how you kill all 3. And then you end up going to the boss room of the Crow's Nest quest, which has the very Halo Reach-like directive of just survive. I forget how many waves of enemies there are. I think there's at least 3 or 4, including at least 4 or 5 Unstoppable Taken dudes, and some captains, and some Centurions, all Taken stuff, and all the different colors of the rainbow shields. So this is one thing I'm noticing about Stasis, is like it's really not good to run a Stasis subclass in missions like this, because you really want like your grenade or your melee or your super to be able to cut through shields like this, especially if you're solo, because you just don't have that many alternative options. So that's just something I noticed doing this and failing repeatedly until I joined my buddy. I quit out of PC and then I just joined him on console, and luckily it loads you straight into the mission. So I loaded into this cistern part and we beat it that way. After this, you run, this is not something I get to in the video, but you run through essentially the old original quest for Hawkmoon, kind of in the back end of that one lost sector, and then you refight the final boss. The mechanics are a little different. He has immunity phases, but essentially all you're doing is just clearing like a metric crap ton of acolytes and a couple knights. And once you do that, you can damage him like a third. If there's a way to burn him like all the way with Lament or something, maybe there's a way to skip those immunity phases. But again, this is something that is wildly difficult for most players solo, but 2-man, I mean, it took some patience, but it wasn't that bad. 3-man, I'm sure you can just kind of blow through it if you're remotely the correct power level. And then you get your drops, and that is your Catalyst on the first drop, and then 2 Hawkmoons, again, per character. You are getting rolls on a single perk, but also the barrel and grip. What I've noticed is that there are really just a lot of good rolls for Hawkmoon, so it's kind of hard to get a bad Hawkmoon roll. Like rangefinder, killing wind, moving target on console, opening shot. I had one of mine was surplus, and then when you get the Catalyst, it gives you like higher handling and reload and range stats on paracausal stacks. So it's essentially like having double surplus, and it's also kind of like having double killing wind in a way, but killing wind's probably better. I still got a rangefinder one that, I don't know, that's probably good enough for me. Like, I don't need to farm an exact grip, an exact barrel, and an exact perk. I think rangefinder is kind of the best overall perk for this, and you really do notice the range difference, and the zoom is pretty cool on that, which I've enjoyed using. Now I just have to get good at hand cannons on Crucible. I kind of did enjoy using the weapon in both in the mission and farming, I don't know, 700 kills in lost sectors for it. It's not like a good PvP weapon, but just that when that last shot pops and just like one shots, a major or something, it's kind of fun. I don't know if it's worth your exotic slot in PvE, but it's fun, and they've clearly put a lot of thought into this gun and bringing it back in an interesting way. So I like that. And then now you can also run this a few times per week per character to get enough feathers to save up for the ship, which is the ship we saw in the secret hangar last week, which you cannot go back and visit right now. I think if you do it all in all 3 characters, it'll take 2 weeks. If you're just running one character, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, depending on how many feathers you can get. I think think you can get like 77 or 78 a week or 76, something like that. So you can do it in like 2 weeks. I'll probably get it done eventually. As we know from what Bungie said in the past, that seasonal content is not going away the way it was in the past. Like, I don't know if like all of the monster hunts and stuff are staying, but I certainly would imagine that this mission especially would stay, as would like the original mission to get Hawkmoon and stuff. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm like 99% sure that they are not getting rid of. Whether Crow is still giving out, these Wrathborn hunts or not next season, I don't know. I'm hoping he doesn't just be like, oh, hey, it's time for some Cabal Wrathborn hunts, and that's the next seasonal activity, because everyone would lose their minds if that happened. There's a lot of stuff to say about next season, but pretty much nothing is confirmed yet. There were rumblings. Some of rumblings were started by me that the tower may be coming back next season. There are both in-game clues that suggest that, just kind of based on in-game construction going on, some different hints throughout the season. And then this cube map thing that was discovered that is pretty much a full rendition of the other tower, but all the tech guys tell me that just because that exists, that can be something like for testing purposes, and there's a lot of unused cube maps in the game, so you can't say like that proves that the tower is coming just from that. So we're kind of still up in the air to a certain extent about what exactly is happening next season, but we're pretty much done with this season now that we've had the secret quests and the random roll farm, which was kind of the last thing anyone was expecting. I know everyone wanted like a true 0 hour, and I still want that. I still want, an elaborate kind of big dungeon-like secret thing for an entirely, unpredicted weapon, not like random rolls of an existing weapon plus a catalyst. That said, like, I will take what we got. What we got was still enjoyable and fun, and it was cool to discover, and it felt like a good community moment, kind of going through that quest for the first time, whether you're watching streamers or doing it yourself. We haven't really had anything like that all season in terms of like a true kind of discovered mystery. So yes, I still want 0 hour 2 in full, not 0 hour 1.5, but I'm satisfied with how this played out, and maybe I'm lowering my standards too much and I'm the Bungie shill or whatever, but I enjoyed it. Clearly the game has a lot of work to do. I cannot go into the myriad issues that are plaguing it right now without doing an entirely new video, but we're supposed to get a state of the game next season from, I think, Joe Blackburn, unless he's just speaking on Luke Smith's behalf. So we'll see where their heads are at. This seems like a, quote, transition year, partially based on obvious things like, COVID still making everyone work from home and making their output lower potentially, but also things like sunsetting and content vaulting just really hitting super hard when Beyond Light arrived. And kind of, they're still ongoing, but they maybe, they're not going to be as severe, so maybe they'll start bringing in more replacements and things and we'll complain less. I don't know. We'll see. We already know a bunch of stuff coming next season, like the reprised strikes and reprised weapons, which are a point of controversy, but we'll see. Everyone, I think, is expecting a bigger season than the individual season of the Hunt stuff was, because that was attached to Beyond Light, and going back to Season of the Undying, the attached seasons are never all that big. I think Season of the Hunt was actually, outside of Wrathborn hunts themselves, I think it was a lot bigger kind of story and lore-wise and all this Hawkmoon stuff. I think it outdid Season of the Undying in that respect, but I really think we need a good core seasonal activity that Wrathborn hunts just were not. Like, I would almost, rather do weekly runs of this, what's it called? The Harbinger mission, than Wrathborn hunts, because it's at least a challenge. I don't know. I don't really care about farming 40 more Hawkmoons personally, but I'll get the ship and all that stuff. But I really enjoyed this. It can always be more. It could always be bigger. It could always be something even more secret. But for what it was, I thought they did a very good job. I think they have done a great job with everything story-wise this season, and we've gotten some pretty cool individual missions. I wasn't really lore per se attached to this mission, but it was still cool. It was still fun to discover, and I don't know. I'm not expecting anything in the next couple of weeks other than previews of next season. Maybe some small in-game events. Lord help us, not another full community event where we have to farm 500 million Wrathborn bosses or something. Like, please no. But we'll see what happens then. for now, it's things are probably going to coast. I would guess for the next 2.5 weeks or whatever it is now, because that's just kind of what happens at the end of these seasons. But yeah, we'll talk about whatever's in the TWAB soon enough, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I appreciate you guys' support. Last video I made about sunsetting was my biggest video ever. I think it's almost at 80K or something when I'm recording this, so that's pretty cool to see. That's outperforming my articles at this point. So it's YouTube has been a very cool medium to explore, and 1,200 comments on videos. That's not really the kind of reaction I get anywhere else, like Twitter or Forbes or anything. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you stopping by. But all right, I'll see you guys later.